We're a nation of amnesiacs. We forget everything that is important.
Folks, kick back, relax, simply to the best way you can, soak it in.
Fred Wanko Ezudo Ezenwafosi Ajalebia, publisher, African Lifestyle Magazine, Chicago.
Hello, everybody. Once again, this is Fred Wanko coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bold Talk on Island TV. And as usual, I like to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, depending on where you are around the world. Today, I'll start out with a little hint about Peter Obi and his congratulatory message to former head of state Yakubu Gowon on his 90th birthday. Because it's a delicate topic, I have to choose my words very carefully. Number one, it's an achievement and something to thank God for somebody to turn 90 years old. I too congratulate Yakubu Gowon. However, I wouldn't, if it wasn't for the topic I'm discussing, I wouldn't go on a social media blast to kiss up to Yakubu Gowon and also kiss up to the powers that be in Nigeria to show them that I'm such a one Nigeria propagator, and I want you guys to know that I've registered my happy birthday thoughts to Yakubu Gowon. As a matter of fact, the way I feel, fuck one Nigeria and fuck Yakubu Gowon. And the reason is clear. As Igbos will say in a proverb, Oche buom na fada na waro odibo ngoro. And that means, that translates to, as if I care that the white reverend father that I'm slaving for died. I'm happy Yakubu Gowon turned 90. I'll celebrate anybody's 90th birthday. However, with a Yakubu Gowon 90th birthday, considering what Nigeria is going through today and the trauma the country has experienced since 1967, but also considering, yes, that I'm an Igbo person, I cannot forget that Igbos lost 3 million lives because of the decisions Yakubu Gowon was in a position to make or not make in the interest of the unity of Nigeria. Since the war ended in 1967, we claim that the war was fought to keep Nigeria united. And the question that I ask you today is Nigeria really united? How long can Nigeria continue to lie to itself? The lies have cost us many more lives since the war ended. Not in the formal war front, but between the armed robbery because of lack of jobs, to kidnapping, to political killings, to ritual killings, Nigeria continues to lose lives in ways that we didn't lose lives before the pogrom of 1966 and the subsequent war that lasted 2.5 years. Peter Obi, in this last cycle of elections, is my political hero. And I think he's a political hero of a lot of Nigerians. For us who look up to Peter Obi as our political hero, there are also things we expect from him. Kissing ass is not one of them. Doing lip service to show the powers that be in Nigeria that you're on the same page with them is not one of the things we expect from Peter Obi. Peter Obi could have sent a quiet private delegation to Yakubu Gowon and commiserate with him and go home. Nobody will know he did. And even if we found out he did, it wouldn't matter. He has the right, like every other Nigerian, to do certain things because they are the right things to do. But as a leader who is sensitive to his base, and it happens to be a base that is the right base in today's Nigerian political chaos. Yes, the base that Peter Obi has is the right base, and it's the more progressive and more populated political base in Nigeria, even though they stole the mandate. The people who support him and the direction he says he wants to take Nigeria are way more than the people who have been cabal captured and subsequently who have bribed everybody in Nigeria to take over power. That Peter Obi base continues to wait for the day that somebody will help them regain that mandate, whether that person is Peter Obi or Babatunde Ajasin or Muhamed Ibrahim, as long or Edahosa Onome or Basi Okon, it doesn't matter as long as that person is a progressive person that can unite Nigerians. Yakubu Gowon had two opportunities to stop the war that happened in Nigeria. One was to have sent federal troops to stop the massacre of Igbos soon after it started, in which case maybe less than 20,000 lives or 5,000 lives would have been lost. No, they lost over 100,000 lives, and Yakubu Gowon did nothing about it. Yakubu Gowon could not control the radical Fulani forces in his army, and that's why Igbos in Asaba, who were fighting on Nigeria's side, probably brainwashed, but they were fighting on Nigeria's side, were massacred mercilessly, over 1,000 of them massacred in Asaba, Igbo men. Yakubu Gowon has given a lip service apology for that. But the federal government of Nigeria as a unit has not officially apologized to Igbos in Asaba. Rather, what they've done is reward the guy, the army officer who led that massacre, Murtala Muhamed, They rewarded him by putting his face on a Naira note and naming the biggest airport in Nigeria after him. That's justice, the way it's handed out in Nigeria. Secondly, everything related to the atrocities Nigeria committed against Igbos in that war was buried, and history has not been taught in Nigeria's classrooms since the war started, because they know what they're hiding. Thank God to social media. Everything is coming out now. And except for the people who benefit directly from the sufferings of Igbos in Nigeria, the rest of Nigerians, Edos, Ijos, Urobos, Efiks, Ibibios, even Hausas, are now starting to sympathize with Igbos. We await the day that the two main beneficiaries of Igbo's sufferings in Nigeria today, we await the day they will publicly show that this one Nigeria we are fighting for includes feeling the pain when your brother hurts.
Nuche chukwa busigi fegemeo, nuche chukwa busia ifegemeo, nifo solo ne asi alibazie.
Yakubu Gowon went to Aburi, which I'm going to play you later, and signed a pact that would have prevented the war. It was because of Yakubu Gowon's reneging on a pact he signed in Aburi that many Igbos proceeded to go back to the north, even though they had already escaped the initial pogrom, and those Igbos were massacred in the north. All that blood is in the hands of Yakubu Gowon. And what did Peter Obi do last weekend? He went on the internet to show that he's this Nigerian darling of unity that will be one of the first to go and tell the man with the blood of Igbos in his hands, happy birthday. There are a lot of significant Igbos that quietly said their happy birthdays to Gowon. Peter Obi did not have to rub that in the face of Igbos. Be it Igbos that want to play the national unity thing, I'm included in that group, but I don't like this. I'm sure some of them say it's okay. But definitely Igbos that are sick and tired of Nigeria and feel that they are being hurt in Nigeria and want to leave the damn country called Nigeria, it's a slap in their faces for Peter Obi to be flaunting his good wishes for the man who is responsible for over 3 million people of Igbo descent being massacred before and during the war. And let's say that was youthful exuberance because Yakubu Gowon was young in 1967, less than 35 years old. In 2024, Yakubu Gowon visited President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has shown by his antecedents in Lagos that he does not want Igbo progress in Nigeria. Yakubu Gowon visited Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and at a press conference when he came out of that meeting, he reiterated that he has no regrets about what he did that led to the war. And as a matter of fact, was patting himself in the back that people said he was slow in doing it, who is laughing now? He, Yakubu Gowon, is laughing because he succeeded in squashing the Igbo uprising to get Biafra. And on that note, I ask, what are Yorubas agitating for today? Are they agitating for one Nigeria, or are they agitating for Dudua state? What are the people in Delta agitating for? And many other Nigerians that may not be having public agitations. I still like Peter Obi. I still like what he stands for. But Peter Obi really owes Igbos an explanation, even if it's behind closed doors. All Peter Obi needs to say is, I made a mistake. Given a similar situation in the future, I'll handle it differently. If that's done, it's fine with me. Peter Obi is human. But Peter Obi owes Igbos an explanation of why he had to slap this in their face. And while he's doing that, he should remember that Olusegun Obasanjo became president of Nigeria not on the platform of his Yoruba brethren. He succeeded as Nigeria's president. But has he succeeded as an accepted son of Yoruba land? Yorubas still see him as somebody who is a traitor to the Yoruba cause. Whether they are right or wrong is a story for a different day. If Peter Obi continues to kiss up to the people who have expressly done things to hurt Igbo people and ultimately succeeds in them making him president, what will be his legacy among his people? At this point, no Igbo person sees Peter Obi as a sellout. I don't say this to call Peter Obi a sellout. I'm saying, Peter Obi, please tell Igbos, say it ain't so. Because Igbos are already worried about the cabal-pocketed Igbos that have been hurting the Igbo cause in Nigeria since 1970. You have come to gain the trust and overwhelming backing of your Igbo brothers and sisters. Igbos hurt because of the number of very wealthy Igbos who can help Igbos, who have been pocketed by the cabal and being used by the cabal to hurt Igbos. Peter Obi, promise Igbos that you are not going to disappoint them. Our faith in Nigeria, at least at this point, is riding on you. We cannot afford to have a flag bearer whining and dining with the people whose main goal is to destroy everything we stand for.
Well, what you must know is that Nnamdi Kanu is being held hostage on behalf of the famed unity of Nigeria. That's what it's all about. It's as simple as that. If you mention his name in certain circles, they don't want to hear it because they feel like he threatens the real estate called Nigeria. And his Igbo makes it worse because Nigeria's DNA hates the Igbo for attempting in the 60s, to leave a country they said is no longer favorable to their existence. But I keep saying, and I will repeat here again, is there any Nigerian out there in their majority who has not mentally seceded from Nigeria? Not many. But the truth is that Nnamdi Kanu has been held hostage. He was abducted from Kenya, extraordinary rendition. The fact that he's kidnapped from Kenya could not be explained shows that any judicial pronouncement or processes after that is null and void. You cannot go and kidnap somebody and bring them before a court. And the courts have made it very clear, even up to the Supreme Court, that he did not jump bail. It was the military that went to his house to kill people, and then he escaped. And like you rightly said, there are other people who have made even more egregious pronouncements and fought and carried arms in this country, and you have not treated them the same way because they're not Nnamdi Kanu's, their name don't sound East. They are not treated fairly, and Nnamdi Kanu is part of the reason why that is clear to everybody.
Right.
And by the way, I must also reveal here that there are some Igbo elites who are behind this. Whenever there's a crime of conspiracy against freedom fighters, there are people inside and outside who are working together.
With that said, let me take you to the Asaba massacre. It was a massacre of Igbo people. And for the next Igbo person that goes to commiserate with General Yakubu Gowon, they should remember the next video you are about to see. But before you see that, let me use a very short clip to introduce even the brainwash and stereotype that led to our poor brothers in Asaba. When I say poor, I mean the ones who were killed. Asaba people are very progressive. They are not poor. But our poor families in Asaba that lost their loved ones. I just want to show this short clip so people have a genesis of how we got there, but not to be misled by what's said in that clip. I want everybody in Nigeria to know that Asaba people, among all the people in the South, Asaba people, Asaba town in particular, have staunchly, come rain, come shine, stood with Igbo people and continue to stand with Igbo people. And I appreciate them for that. In 1967, the Fulani cabal and the rest of the Nigerian cabal that collaborated with them decided that the way to clip the wings of Igbos is to separate them from their neighbors and the Igbos that live in the non-core Igbo states. And the shame is that very educated people among those Igbos outside Igbo land fell for the disgraceful brainwash, and all of a sudden they hate their fellow Igbo brothers that did nothing whatsoever to them just because Nigeria promised them gold. That gold today continues to elude them. And I couldn't point to one single advantage they can say 50 years later since the war ended. One single advantage that they can say they have over Igbos, except ignorant brainwash.
The worst illiterates in Nigeria are those who confidently come online and say we are South. What Nigeria cannot do does not exist. In the entire world geography, there is nowhere, anywhere in the world that is called South-South, only in Nigeria. And when I'm talking of Igbophobia, the worst people that have Igbophobia are even we, the Igbos, in the so-called South-South. If you go my village now, somebody is somewhere saying, see what in the Igbo they do. I don't want Igbo people to come and live in our village because he's afraid of his own people. Fear has crippled you. They say what has not happened have taken man's joy. What has not happened, the fear of what you think say it may happen. Because of that, you are not happy. You can't live in peace with your neighbor. You start suspecting person that does not harm you. You are scared. We in our South Igbos are scared, whether it's Rivers, whether it's Akwa Ibom, whether it's Kogi. We are scared that the Igbos will dominate us. Are they not dominating Nigeria?
Like I've said so many times, Igbos don't want to dominate anybody. Igbos just want to be free to do what they do best wherever they abode. If what scares you is the Biafra war, why should it scare you? The way Nigeria stands today, don't you wish you could go your own way and live in peace?
What is the Biafran War? The Biafran War is essentially a war of self-determination. That's what it is. What you see happening in Bokos is the Biafran War. What you see happening in Kaduna is the Biafran War. Everywhere you see the Nigerian fighting the evils of the Nigerian state, what you see is the Biafran War all over again. As long as the people's capacities are constrained, as long as their right to self-determination is constrained, the Biafran War will never end. The totality of the Biafran War is about self-determination, the right of a people to become, to be human, to be treated as citizens. That is the totality of the Biafran War. Do you think it's by accident that the last constitution that was written by the Nigerian people for the Nigerian people is the 1963 constitution? It's not by accident. It is not by accident. It is the loss of citizenship that has placed us in a situation where military bandits have been the ones writing constitutions for all.
Oh boy, baby, I gotta yamuliba. Oh boy, wuru, I gotta baby vesolia. Mano gotta yamu. Oh boy, I feel zieni pakwa.
Nigerians like to forget, or should I say Nigerians like to pretend they don't remember. But the only way Nigeria is going to change is we need to start talking about the bitter truth of our history. How can I conclude this episode without giving a big salute to the men of Asaba in Delta State, and also feeling embarrassed for Nigeria that a man, a military officer, a respected military officer of Nigeria, went into Asaba and summoned Asaba people to come and welcome the Nigerian army. Remember that Asaba fought on the side of Nigeria. They were patriotic Nigerians fighting for Nigeria at the border between Nigeria and Biafra. And the man Nigeria named its biggest airport in his honor and put in his face on a Naira note. Murtala Muhamed went into Asaba, invited Asaba people, separated them between men and women, and opened fire and massacred the men who came out to welcome him and his troops. And in return, Nigeria spit on the graves of those Asaba men while it honored Murtala Muhamed, who ordered the massacre of fellow Nigerians. May we find ways to honor not just the Asaba men who died under Murtala Muhamed's bullets and Nigeria's bullet, innocent Nigerians killed by Nigerians because of Igbo phobia. May we also salute the widows and the children of those innocent Asaba men that were killed in Nigeria's war, while Nigeria forced them to fight against their brothers. May their souls rest in peace. Listen to a survivor of that massacre narrate what happened that day. He's going to narrate it in Igbo, and I'll translate it to those who don't understand.
Ogbo sewe bụ ebe wakpo anyị won Nigeria. O village ọbụna kwadebe eyila akwa ọcha. N'elu na anyị bịa nabata ndị oyi anyị. Anya emehọ na anyị bịa na ga-ese non dimities. That is goodbye till we meet no more.
That's a grown elderly man crying, weeping as he remembers that fateful day when he too almost lost his life.
1970. Anyị bịa ka ije zụta ndị agha Nigeria. Bịa bulu egwu. Anyị mara na ọ bụ a game of death ka ịba n'ime ya. No na iluzi wagadazi anyị n'ebu. Bịa singula ụmụ nwoke niile out. Ụmụ nwanyị bịa this side. Oge ka anyị afụzi. They open fire. We will go machine gun gahube our people.
What he said there was that the military came in and made announcements for them to come out, and they thought they were coming out to herald their soldiers, Nigerian soldiers, into their town and make them familiar with the surroundings. They didn't realize that they were coming to meet their death, because the only plan that the Nigerian army had was to come in there and massacre the men. You heard him talk about the gunshots. Back, 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 back.
And they were slaughtered in thousands. Anyị nwa bụzi ndị nwe ike ịgbapụ ni bụ ndị ozu dakpudo n'azụ. Obero n'ebe ahụ. So nke a na-ekwu ife a ofu onye afọ m si mbanye na moto. Abanye na moto. Amụrụ na o nwekwa another killing field ndị CMS n'ogbo sowa. Abịa n'ebe ọ na-ene ụmụ nwoke ka wajukwa ụmụ nwoke anyị. Wabịa sị anyị gwa grave. Wabịa sị anyị face ya di grave. Wasi anyị start saying your prayer. Ekpele ka na-ekpezi with other people. One Land Rover land ya. Oblubab Ali, my classmate na New Better College Onitsha. Ofuzi I'm saying, Sonny, what are you doing here? He said, you know I'm from Asaba. It's to join my people. Ose mumu bayana moto zibo. Abiam banyana jeep where one other person, John Okonya, Amabanya. Anya the car drive from here to that place. They opened machine gun. The whole people there were mowed down. Ndị niile bụbu ụmụ nwanyị na-enifa. Ọ bụ ilu na-abọsa ozu maka nwa niile eji akwa ọcha. Ịbọsagide ozu fụ nke ịmali. Ibuluje ni ya. Ị na-aga ifudene ka ọ nọ n'enu mmadụ na punch afọ ya. So now they won the war and we won the peace. Ife na-agwa Nigerian government bụ na ọ dịka adị late. Nigeria dịka akwụ ụgwọ waji ndị Asaba. Onye gbu ọchụ ọkwa ọchụ. Wabịa akwa ọchụ agbu.
Okudilio, 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 nye
I'll say, may God help Nigeria. But I must say this, as an Igbo person, I have never been more proud about the position that Igbos hold in Nigeria than I am today. The reason being that the Igbo fight, the Igbo cause, is no longer being fought just by Igbos. It's no longer that lonely voice in the wilderness that's crying and everybody is saying, Igbo, yeah. Those Igbo people always making noise. Nigerians have picked up on the atrocities that their country has been committing against fellow Nigerians simply because many of them who are committing those atrocities cannot compete in an open field with Igbos. No, I didn't say Nigerians cannot compete. There's not a single thing an Igbo person could do in Nigeria that other well-intended progressive Nigerians cannot do. It is the bigots in Nigeria, the lazy ones, the only skill they have in Nigeria is the skill to divide and conquer. And when they are unable to divide and conquer, they have nothing going for them. So for them to survive in Nigeria, they have to divide and conquer. But to progressive Nigerians, Yorubas, Fulanis, Hausas, Edos, Ibibios, Ijos, Urobos, Edomas, Tivs, and across the board, we are more than them. Nigeria's progressive outnumber the crooked, atrocity-laden cabal. It's time for us to stand up and fight. Nigeria is worth fighting for, even if Nigeria is not worth dying for. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, this is Fred Nwanko coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bold Talk on Allen TV. Until next time, good night and God bless.
Yahweh na komitunaka o Osomwindo utande wapio Osomwindo utande wapio Koko na biso ya kala yenanie Yesu mwana nzambe yende mondele Adamu na Eva bangonde mindele Santo nyoso bangonde mindele bona nini yo na mitunaka Nzambe na komitunaka Yahweh na komitunaka Babukwa Nzambe tomonaka boye Santo nyoso foto se mindele Banjelu nyoso bango se mindele Sokiza bulu foto moto moindo Injustice utande wapio na mama bakanga biso maele boye Bike kwa bakoko bango baboyaka Kisya bakoko bango bandimakate Kasi Sinanda kwa nzambe biso tomonaka tokosambela chapele na maboko tokosambela bikeko bitondi ndako kasi bikeko yango semindele pona nini nzambe